Every problem you or I have is rooted in fear. Since I was a kid, I've always struggled with fighting procrastination. If you have that in common, then you'd understand how big of a burden it is when trying to take action. For a long time, I never understood what fueled this and many other self-limiting habits. This changed when I came across a New York Times article. Procrastination isn't a unique character flaw or a mysterious curse on your ability to manage time, but a way of coping with challenging emotions and negative mood induced by certain tasks. So, if procrastination is a built-in method for coping, are other bad habits used in a similar way? Author of Atomic Habits, James Clear answered this question for me, bringing me to my starting point: stress and boredom. My question was, how are we influenced by these states? To find my answer, I needed to dig deeper into this rabbit hole. Doing so, my research brought me across what science likes to call
the habit loop, the habit loop, the habit loop.
The system that reacts to your current environment through cue, with a state of stress and boredom being the driving force. That cue then leads into the action of the habit, if that's eating a tasty treat, or procrastination in my example. That then results in a reward, a good feeling in our brain that says, I was feeling bad before, but after doing that activity, I felt great again. Let's repeat it next time we feel bad. This explains how stress and boredom cause us to fall into our bad habits so easily, because they become cues for us to act out of our less favorable habits. At this point, I felt like I had found my answer. That stress and boredom was the root to our bad habits. But then, I came across one life-changing article. Before we move on, I need you to first identify your bad habits. To do so, I highly recommend downloading my free follow-along activity packet. The link's in the description, and all you have to do is download it, print it off, and you can follow along with the rest of the activities in this video. If you prefer following along digitally, I also created a free Notion template, which you can easily download as well. In both of these, I added all the activities that we will be going through in this video, as well as a deeper dive into each of them, with a lot of extra value sprinkled on top. If you're interested in having a greater takeaway from this video, then I would highly recommend heading down to the description right now and checking out either of the links. If not, that's totally cool, and you can do all these activities on a spare sheet of paper. If that's what you decide to do, then for this activity, create two separate lists. One for significant and another for minuscule habits. Then write down everything from the huge self-obstructing habits to the less noticeable ones. Every problem you or I have, and there are many, small and large, is rooted in fear. Think about your own experiences with fear in your life. Trevor Ragan brings up a very important question.
When has fear robbed you of an opportunity to grow?
When you reflect on your life, you may have realized that fear has played a big impact. If you struggle with procrastination, then it's not your lack of work ethic. It's really a deep-rooted fear of some aspect of the task that is holding you back. That being said, the solution to jumping this hurdle of fear is completely different from what you believe today. This new perspective on fear is guaranteed to change your life. Before revealing the strategy, I need you to identify the fears tied to each of your bad habits. To help you do so, I will give you a few examples that go beyond just procrastination. Spend some time identifying what fears line up with your bad habits. With this information, we will now move on to how you can begin making strides with fear. The first mindset change that you need to make is getting rid of your negative beliefs around fear. Let go of the desire to destroy fear and the belief that you shouldn't feel fear at all. The second and most life-changing mindset shift for me was giving yourself permission to experience fear and be in full acceptance of the state. While it may feel uncomfortable, you need to be willing to step into it. Each little decision you make to hold off on the project you know you wanted to do, choosing to eat out instead of cooking a meal, scrolling through social media instead of expanding your skill list. Each decision that goes against your goal is a fear-based decision. So let's create a real and tangible plan for how you can begin striving out of your comfort zone and overcoming your bad habits. Start by choosing one of your bad habits and the fears that associate with it. I will use procrastination as my example, with the fear of the unknown and failure both ruling the state. When it comes to acting out of your bad habits, the environment that you surround yourself with plays a big role. Peter Sage said it the best in his TED Talk.
You can have all of the intention to be as warm and hot as you like, but if you choose to live in a freezer, the environment's going to win over time.
This isn't limited to moving the cookie jar out of sight. It also accounts for the things you consume as well. If that's self-destructive media, as well as the peer group you surround yourself with. For me, procrastination was always a problem when I allowed things like my phone to sit in my environment. Write down what specific things in your environment affect your ability to overcome the habit. Once you identify them, how can you alter your environment to suit your goal of breaking the habit? Think about what you need to add or subtract from your environment to have success. With procrastination, it helped to put my phone on airplane mode and hide it in another room when I get home. Keeping it out of sight meant my brain wouldn't default to it in times when I needed to work on important tasks. Setting up a plan for how I could dance with fear also played a big role. The first step you need to take is having awareness and acceptance of the fear. See it as an opportunity to grow and escape your comfort zone. Once you have this awareness, you need to do exactly the opposite of the fear. When I procrastinate, it is difficult to want to take action due to the fear of failure and the unknown. But I now know that I need to embrace that fear and step into it if I want to grow. Use your fear as a compass. See it as a guide towards growth and development instead of something you should avoid. The final step is reinforcing the action. No matter how many times you'll leap at the face of fear, this step is always crucial. Always celebrate the small wins along your fear-facing journey. Even more important is staying kind to yourself. I know how easy it is to get discouraged and start criticizing yourself when you make a mistake or let fear take control. But doing so won't help you grow. You need to see setbacks as opportunities to learn more about yourself. I recommend reassessing the situation to see what went wrong, why it went wrong, and what change you can make so it goes differently next time. Through reassessments, I learned that when I experience procrastination, it's because I allow for other distractions in my environment, and I don't have a clear enough plan for what I need to do. At the end of the day, to break your bad habits, you need awareness of the fear that is tied to it, and the willingness to leave your comfort zone and dance with those fears.